You see the title, LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith. They're going back and forth. There's a lot of people jumping in with their opinions, and for me, someone that's worked in sports media 15 plus years, you know, I feel like I could tap in and give you my perspective on what's going on. So if you're tapping in, just go ahead and let me know you're here, and I'll be ready to go here in a second. Just want to give folks time to pull up. See, we're having some connection stuff. Let me just go ahead and verify that. And get off of that. I think the Wi-Fi was trying to connect. So we're getting off the Wi-Fi. Hopefully that'll clean up the signal in a second. Let that go for a little bit. Turned off the Wi-Fi. That should stabilize the connection. Not sure why that happened, but all right. Let me know in the chat if you're good, and then we'll start to tap in. Because there's some things I want to get to. 15 plus years in sports media, working in radio, TV, in front of the camera, behind the camera, all points in between. Kind of have an idea of what's going on. So Stephen A. Smith is kind of turning this thing up even more. I liken this to what CM Punk did in wrestling years ago with the pipe bomb, when he sat down and he aired out all his grievances. Today, this morning, you got that from Stephen A. Stephen A. went on his show, very popular show, gets a lot of clicks, goes viral daily, if not hourly, which is the whole point, and that's why he's getting 20 M's a year. He aired out his grievances on LeBron. Called out about how he didn't go to Kobe's memorial, but he was on a business trip prior, how he didn't go to D. Wade's Hall of Fame induction, but he was on other trips, didn't hold down his mans that he claims and hold in high regard, but he didn't want to, you know, pull up to the things that matter, what you would think would matter most for D. Wade, which is the Hall of Fame enshrinement. So Stephen A. got a lot of stuff off of his chest today, pointing specifically at LeBron. He made LeBron look to be jealous. He made LeBron look to be petty. LeBron took the IG after airing out Stephen A. on McAfee yesterday, and he put the IG clip up of Stephen A. trying to box, shadow box, and all of that. And you know, much like the Hove lyric, Stephen A. was looking flabby and sick. And you know, it was a point in time where now it's different. At least that's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to believe, right? This is all wrestling. All of this, the back and forth, the media tours, all of that stuff, it's all wrestling. It's all, I'm not saying it's scripted, like the outcome is scripted and determined like wrestling, but it's wrestling in the sense of this is manufactured beef. This is manufactured beef. This is a story. This is a storyline. It's not going to be Cody Rhodes finished the story. It's not going to be to that level, but it's on that same wavelength. Stephen A. and LeBron know damn well what they're doing. You're telling me LeBron, who has gone to great lengths to create his own production company, his own media company, Undisputed, has the shop, has all types of ways to put content out, purposefully goes on McAfee show when he just so happens to be in Indianapolis to play the Pacers. He chose to go on that platform and not his own. He didn't wait for an episode of The Shop to drop these bombs that he dropped yesterday. He purposefully went on McAfee, knowing that if I go on McAfee, one, it's a bigger audience. Let's go ahead and keep that a buck. Two, it's going to hit everywhere and go viral instantaneously. LeBron could have waited and dropped all of that on The Shop. He could have. But instead, he decided, I'm going to pull up on McAfee, who's got a wider reach. He's hotter right now. And if you know, you know, McAfee and Stephen A. don't really see eye to eye. It's a lot of industry stuff. It's a lot of power structure, hierarchy stuff. But as someone that's been in the game for about 15 plus years, about 16 plus years now, I can tell you, McAfee and Stephen A., they don't see eye to eye. Make of that what you will. So of course, Braun would go on McAfee's show just to dig that knife in a little bit more. Like, not only am I going to get at you on a platform, I'm going to go on a platform that arguably is bigger than yours, that is fresher than yours, that has a more growing audience than yours, and even though y'all on the same network, it's a direct competitor to you. That was the dagger. That was the little knife twisting the fact that Fraud A, Stephen A, however you want to call him, SAS, has taken a lot of shots at LeBron over the years, has been very critical of LeBron over the years. But LeBron being able to clap back now, he's in this clap back era. When an athlete gets old and they know that they're towards the end, they decide it's time to clap back. So LeBron is in his clap back era. And it's been long overdue. He's done his subtle stuff over the years, but now he is openly clapping back. Not just at Stephen A, he's clapping back at Brian Windhorst. And while we bring up Windhorst, LeBron tried to make it seem like Brian Windhorst was saying he was his best friend, or him and LeBron are best friends. Windhorst has never said that. So we might as well just go ahead and put a book in LeBron's hand, because he was lying. You know, he was lying about reading all them books, and he tried to make light of that on McAfee, but it's the truth. He'd be lying about all them books. And he was lying about what Windhorst said. Windhorst has never come out and said, me and LeBron James are best friends. And for LeBron to try to smear Windhorst's credibility, that's extremely problematic, because most people are going to believe LeBron because of the fact that he's LeBron James. And he's in this clapback era. That's hella problematic. That is extremely problematic, because Windhorst does have ties to people in LeBron. But before that, just to the whole Mav Carter, World Wide West, Rich Paul, that whole conglomerate that was, you know, helping build the business that is LeBron Inc. Like, if he didn't have connection to that, the four-letter network wouldn't have paid Windhorst all that bread way back when Braun was killing in Cleveland. Like, Windhorst is tapped in. No matter what LeBron wants to say, it's a lie to try to insinuate that Windhorst isn't tapped in. Windhorst is tapped in. He's dropped T on LeBron's camp, and it's been factual. So you can't say this guy's out here trying to say that we're best friends. That's not true. Like, where's the clip? Where's the evidence that Windhorst is going around and has said publicly that he's best friends with LeBron? That's literally never happened. Because that would have been aired out. When that clip yesterday went viral, all the clips from LeBron and McAfee went viral, and the piece about Windhorst, no one quote tweeted or no one put in the replies, yeah, here's the clip of Windhorst saying that. Nobody can find it because it doesn't exist. It literally does not exist. So LeBron is lying. And he's lying to create a narrative that whatever he says is the word. There's no better example of new media than what LeBron got off on McAfee yesterday. LeBron went out there and lied about Brian Windhorst. He's stretching truths. He's making light of Stephen A. And he's buying into it. Because it's all wrestling. It's all contrived. Because neither one of these dudes are ever going to do anything to each other when they see each other. LeBron gets all the props for, oh, he pressed Stephen A. He just approached that man. It was in public. It was before a game. Or it was during, towards the end of a game. There was never going to be any smoke. No hands were going to get thrown. Even if they were in the back room, in the back tunnel of Crypto Center, there was never going to be any smoke. You think LeBron would ever actually put hands on Stephen A? And in turn, do you think Stephen A would actually put hands on LeBron? No. It's all nonsense. It's all wrestling, it's storylines, it's make-believe. And I'm not saying that as a person that hates wrestling, but watching wrestling from as a child, that's why I could see the similarities. This is a storyline. This is a storyline. They're both using their fan bases to push their narratives and to create a rivalry that doesn't really exist, to create a story to get people invested that has no payoff. There's going to be no payoff. This is not going to have your Cody Rhodes WrestleMania moment where, finish the story. There's not going to be any of that. It's just going to be these two bickering on the timeline using media platforms that they have favoritism towards. Stephen A is going to leverage his show, First Take. He's going to go on Fox News. He's going to make the rounds of wherever else he has relationships with, just like LeBron waits till he's playing the Pacers in Indianapolis and just so happens to roll up on, Stephen A's rival in McAfee. This is all storyline. This is all manufactured beef. This is manufactured beef. This is fake beef. This is on different platforms with clips that's going viral. It is tofu. It is nowhere near real beef. It can look like it. They can even season it to taste like it. They can serve it like it, but it ain't that. It ain't the real beef. And that's what sports media is. When you have former players now in the media game, larger than ever. There's been no bigger time in history, sports media history, where so many current and former athletes are in the lead in this space. Sports media has long been a space reserved for journalists. Now that the game is flipped upside down with the dumbing down of technology and the ease of use of internet that allows anyone with a camera and a microphone to get their takes off, it has lowered the bar. Anybody can come in and talk. Anybody can come in and state their opinion and state their truth. Now you have Brandon Jennings turning the world upside down by claiming he's better than this player, he's better than that player, when nobody really gives a damn about Brandon Jennings. But because he has a platform, he's been empowered by microphones and having some kind of credibility as a quasi-celeb, people listen and they take that. So if you take what LeBron and Stephen A is doing, it's no worse than what Brandon Jennings is doing at a much lower level. It's the same result. The clips go viral. The views are in the millions. It's all contrived. It's all make-believe. Absolutely. See y'all in the chat. Facts at all WWE. It really is. It really is. LeBron, my glorious king. I mean, if that's your man's, that's your man's. But he's lying. Like, that's the thing. He's just outright lying. But nobody's gonna call him on it. He's too powerful. He's too big. He's too big of a celebrity. He's too much of a star maker that you can't say, hey, LeBron, you're actually lying about that. Like, there's never going to be a fact checker, right? Like, in real time. Like, like they try to do that in the debates this past fall. Like, they try to do that in debates. Like, let's get the fact checker. Like, that needs to happen on these podcasts. That needs to happen on these shows, on these live streams. Have someone there that can fact check this information. Because when LeBron says Windhurst thinks he's my best friend, or he's telling people that he's my best friend, like we're best friends, Windhurst has never done that. At least not publicly. Publicly, he has not said that. Publicly, he has had tea, whether it's through Mav Carter, Rich Paul, World Wide West, whoever, and that tea has been factual. Windhurst has been every step of the way in alignment with whoever is in LeBron's camp. Maybe he's not tight with LeBron specifically, but he doesn't need to be. He just needs to be able to get the information confirmed from a close source. That's the whole point of being an insider, right? That's literally the whole point. I may not know LeBron, but if I'm tight with Rich Paul's assistant, or if I'm tight with World Wide West's executive assistant, or if I'm tight with, Mav Carter's cousin or nephew or brother or sister or whatever, like those are the sources we're talking about. When people say sources close to the situation, or, I've gotten information from someone inside the camp, that's a very large net. That's an extremely large net when you say my insider sources. I have a source close to the situation. I have a source from inside the camp. That camp could be large as hell. That camp could be a cousin. That insider source could actually be a family member, not the actual person. That matters. So Windhurst has never said, yeah, LeBron told me X, Y, and Z. He said, look, I got sources close. I have a source from the camp. People that would know have told me. That's how they frame it. That's how Woj built his whole career. Woj wasn't having, at some point, Woj didn't have GMs calling his line off rip. He earned his rep and built his contacts up to where that eventually happened. But you get your sources from however which way. So LeBron lied. Stephen A is lying by saying I would have swung back if LeBron would have hit it. Like, that's all just fake. Cachet, trying to save face. None of this stuff actually matters. None of this stuff would actually happen in the grand scheme of things. I can tell you, I've been in this game, this sports media thing, for over almost 16 plus years now. The amount of times that I have been in a room and have heard plans to start beef, or plans to attack a certain athlete, or attack a certain team, or attack a certain fan base, just to get engagement, just to get notoriety, just to get the opportunity to potentially go viral. That's a real thing that happens in this industry. That's a real thing that happens in this game. And that's why it's wrestling. Because you are purposefully doing something, knowing what the outcome is going to be. When Stephen A goes on all of his platforms and says, I would hit back at LeBron, how come LeBron didn't go to D Wade's Hall of Fame enshrinement if that's his man's? How come we don't know all the real information about Bronny and his health scare? All that type of stuff. That's him saying stuff knowing damn well there's going to be no repercussions for what he's saying. LeBron was never going to go on any of his platforms anyway. So I can slander, I can say whatever, because LeBron, as big as he is now, especially after signing the deal that he just got, 20 M's for 5 years, 20 million a year for 5 years, Stephen A can argue he's the LeBron of his industry. So if I'm the LeBron of my industry, or if I'm the kingmaker of my industry, much like LeBron is the kingmaker of his, I have no repercussions. Do you think Stephen A's bosses are mad at him today? Do you think the bosses at the 4-letter network are upset at what Stephen A said today, this morning, and has been saying for weeks after the alleged pressing? No chance. No chance. Yeah, it's a lot going on. I see y'all in the chat, and I appreciate y'all tapping in. I think that there's so much here that could go. If they did have a sit down, it would do numbers. It would do numbers. You know, Stephen A is trying to get into the politics lane. He wants to clearly expand his audience. What he needs to do, and this would be the ultimate wrestling move, he needs to find a way to have a sit down with LeBron. It would do numbers. It would break the timeline. if LeBron and Stephen A could actually sit down. The problem is they both have their own platforms, and they're both going to want to do it on their own platforms because they want to make money off of it. Okay? LeBron knows, even though he was on McAfee's platform, he's making money by what he said yesterday. By what he said yesterday, he is doubling down on what his word means and what his narrative is. And you know, at some point, we're going to get a LeBron Last Dance type documentary. We're going to get a bunch of LeBron retrospective content as the years go on. And you're going to have to pay for that content in some kind of way. And LeBron knows that. So LeBron, even though he gave his content away for free, going on McAfee, he's playing the long game of, I'm going to keep my audience and keep my fans locked in to what I'm doing here by standing 10 toes down that Windhurst is trying to be my best friend. He thinks he's my best friend. Friday is running around like he's Taylor Swift. He had smoke for Chris Haynes. Like, Bron was airing out all the people that matter in the industry of sports media, because the dirty little secret is that these athletes, they don't want any reporters, any journalists that are objective to be able to speak on them. Athletes are getting to the point, and this is the whole thing of new media, athletes are getting to the point where they only want to hear from former players when it comes to any and all analysis. They accept the fact that reporters, journalists, bloggers, vloggers, streamers, podcasters, whatever, have a voice, have an opinion. That doesn't mean that they respect it or that they value it or even put it on the same level as a former athlete. LeBron would rather hear from Brandon Jennings about basketball than he would from Chris Haynes. That's a real thing. LeBron would rather talk to Gilbert Arenas about basketball, or shit, he just said he's going to do the podcast. He's bringing the pod back that he had with JJ Redick. He's not going to do it with Steve Nash. Steve Nash, who flamed out as a horrible coach, who was supposed to be a teacher of the game and flamed out as a coach. Now LeBron is out here saying, yeah, Steve Nash knows a lot about the game. He knows how to explain it. How the hell does he know how to explain it? He couldn't explain it, but he was a coach. Now I'm supposed to believe Steve Nash is going to be a great potter, which requires you to explain the game and teach us casuals, us normal folks, about the game at advanced levels. I'm supposed to believe that. The man that flamed out as a coach is now supposed to spin the block and now be an excellent potter teaching the game of basketball when he couldn't even teach it to his peers at a high level? I'm supposed to believe that? There's absolutely no way. Absolutely no way to believe that. Absolutely positively no way to believe that. It is absurd. But again, because LeBron gives it the cosign, people are going to rock with it. There is plenty of generation. There's a couple of generations that have LeBron as their GOAT. The MJ generation is getting old. They're becoming unk. The Kobe generation is next to become unk. Then he's just going to be stuck with all LeBron, GOAT, Stan generation. And LeBron's going to capitalize on that. Shit, Jordan certainly has. And Kobe, even in death through his family, has. So you damn sure will get LeBron GOAT narrative stands for the next 2, 3, 4 generations until the next person, whoever that is, steps up and becomes the next one. Curry had a chance to sneak in there and get that type of GOAT stuff off, but it didn't happen. So Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and then we're waiting to see who's next. But there is an economy that comes with that. And there comes a narrative building that comes with it. I could even admit, as a Jordan guy, The Last Dance did a lot to try to explain Michael Jordan's mentality and his own narratives. It's a 10-hour doc around mostly one season of basketball with some sprinkles of historical stuff put in there. You know damn well we're going to get a 20-hour doc on LeBron. And that was a funny thing, right? Oh, wait, hold up now. I see y'all in the chat. He won't address signing, though. Hey, that's the worst kept secret. That worst kept secret. That there's a whole documentary. It was on Netflix. It magically got removed from Netflix. Make of that what you will. But there was a documentary that was done that involved some of the Chael Sonnen stuff and also some actual evidence. But, you know, just like Michael Jordan allegedly had to go away for gambling, and people will go to their grave either believing it or not believing that, there's some information that came out about Bron that may or may not be factual that would implicate a lot of things that would destroy his legacy in everything that he's built. He has had the most manicured image imaginable. Because imagine, Jordan had gambling, the murder of his father, which people try to tie into that, into some mafia shit. Yeah, Kobe and his relationship with his parents not being that great. The whole thing with Vanessa early on. I mean, Vanessa's treated like a queen now, but that energy was not kept early on. It is what it is. And then we have the case in Colorado with Kobe. So the last two GOATs, or the last two dudes that were the face of the league type dudes, had some stuff. And LeBron has been able to navigate. He's been able to weaponize his power in the media, the same media that he likes to criticize, the same media that he likes to, dismiss, like your Stephen A's, like your Chris Haynes. He's done a masterful job of keeping certain stories low. And, it's worked. Because whenever you bring up anything that Chael Sonnen said, or even some of the documentaries that were on Netflix that magically disappeared not long after being released, that stuff just doesn't get brought up. And when it does get brought up, it's treated like fake news. It's treated like fake news. But LeBron's power is that he can say a lie, and his lie is seen as truth just because it's his truth. It's not the truth. It's just his truth. And that's all today is. That's Stephen A has his truth. If LeBron would have pressed me, I would have pressed him back. His truth. We know damn well it's a lie, but it's his truth. And that's where we get all of this tied back to, this shit is wrestling. They might as well just have this be the main event of WrestleMania coming up. They might as well just have this, Bron versus Stephen A, as the main event. It could be night one. It doesn't have to be night two. It could be night one. It seems like they're having a hard time doing night one anyway. But night one, the main event should be Stephen A versus LeBron. Because that's all this is. It's manufactured. It's curated. There's no real impactful outcome. It's all contrived. It's all media driven. It's all fan base driven. This shit is wrestling. It's been wrestling. The stuff with Skip and LeBron, wrestling. The stuff with Stephen A and LeBron, wrestling. The stuff with Nick Wright and LeBron, wrestling. The stuff with Nick Wright and Michael Jordan and Patrick Mahomes and whoever. Like, it's all wrestling. All these opinions that are considered to be objective and truth are neither. They're saying the thing. I've been doing sports podcasts for damn near a decade plus, based off of my experience in sports media. And time after time, it's so easy to tell once you're inside, once you're behind the scenes, and you produce radio shows, you produce television shows, and you produce podcasts, and you see and you know when a host is doing something for clicks. You just know right away. And most people, like y'all, know too. Like, it's not some stealth thing. It's not some secret sauce. It's just, oh, you're trying to go viral. Like, that's all this is. I used to work in sports radio. You know when a host is doing over the top yelling and screaming and pounding on the console just to get animated. That's their version of trying to go viral, because they're trying to get people to call in and join the conversation. It's a different type of virality. It's a different type of attention-seeking maneuver. That's all this is. And what you have right here is you have LeBron James, who is, to some of y'all, the GOAT. And if he's not, he's at least top 3, top 5 at worst, if you're a real old head. But you have this man going at the person who has changed how sports media is perceived. What Stephen A has been able to do in making your opinion value more than the information. That's the thing. Sports media used to always only be about what's the information. Now it's what's your take? What's your opinion? What do you think? The information doesn't matter anymore. The stats don't really matter anymore. It's about, can you sway a persuasive opinion? Can you engage in debate? Can you outrage someone who is watching, listening, consuming? That's what this is about. All the other stuff about writing a well-researched narrative doesn't matter. Now it's just, I need your narrative quick. I need your narrative concise. I need your narrative to be opinionated and engaging. And if it can't do that, you won't have a job that long. And when you look at the world of LeBron, when he's talking about, I said earlier that athletes don't want traditional journalists, reporters, whoever. They don't respect their opinions. You can see it in the people that LeBron has put on. Who has LeBron put on in terms of his ecosystem? You know, like you had the Belichick coaching tree back in the day, the Steve Walsh coaching tree. Now you have the McVay coaching tree. Let's look at that LeBron media tree. We can start with Richard Jefferson, right? Richard Jefferson went from podding to an analyst. Now he's a full-on color commentator. He's ascended. Channing Frye was a guy we never thought we would ever see again. And now he's got a pod, and he can probably take the analyst lane if he wants. Kendrick Perkins, even though people align him more with, KD in those years, and even the Celtic years, he had some LeBron years in there too. I put him under that LeBron media tree. Like the whole thing of uninterrupted. It's a whole network. He's got people there. He's got former players there. He gets the people that he likes to pull up there and give their truth. Again, not the truth, their truth. He does not want, Stephen A thinks Michael Jordan's the GOAT. And I think Bron feels the way. But here's the problem Bron is having. Bron should know that most people over the age of 50 are not going to look at him as the GOAT. It's just a different era, bro. It's a different era. If you're 50 plus, you're not lead to go to this era. You're not going to say he's the GOAT all time. Not when, if you're 50 plus, you've seen all of Jordan. You've seen a lot of Dr. J. You've seen the tail end of Kareem and all of Magic and Bird. Like, you're not going to say LeBron's better than them. You're not. You're just not. So I think that's really where this stems from. I really feel like that is a real big catalyst, is that the biggest voice in sports media, who is not an athlete, so the biggest voice in sports media that's not a former athlete, is poignant and is strident about the fact that the person who a lot of people of a certain age consider to be the GOAT is indeed not the GOAT to him. So someone that has the popularity, someone that has the polarization of a Stephen A, saying that LeBron is not the GOAT, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. And LeBron feels away, as he should. If you're LeBron, you want everyone to bow down. You've been calling yourself the king since you were 18 years old. Clearly, you want everyone to bow down. And here's the biggest name in sports media who's got the power, who's got the influence, who's got the stroke, pause, saying, no, you're not. When you have gone around and have empowered all of those around you who do bow down to you, when you've empowered the Richard Jeffersons, when you've helped empower the Channing Frys, you've helped empower the Kendrick Perkinses and all of that, yeah. You want, and now, you see Gil is trying to work his way in there by being so pro-Bronny. He's being pro-Bronny, so he's trying to make sure he's aligned. He wants some of that LeBron stimulus package. So you see where that's going. You would feel a way if you feel you're really the GOAT at this shit, and the person that's at the top of the game is not respecting it, is not co-signing it, is not acknowledging that fact. Something that you feel is fact, he's saying is not a fact. That hurts. Because if you're LeBron, you've done all this work to stay on top. You've done all this work to be 40 plus and to still be one of the best players in the game. You want respect to be unanimous. You want it to be undisputed that you're the GOAT. Problem is, you're playing the age game. You're playing the era game. You're never going to get someone 50 plus that thinks Jordan's the GOAT to then switch and say you're the GOAT. There's people alive right now that won't even say Jordan's the GOAT. There's people alive right now, 60, 70, 80 plus, that will die saying Kareem's the GOAT, Wilt's the GOAT, Big O is the GOAT. They don't give a fuck what Jordan did. Dr. J's the GOAT. Like, that's real. So for LeBron to foolishly think that just because he's been calling himself the chosen one since he was 17, just because he's been calling himself the king, and we're all witnesses since he was 18, that everyone has to just co-sign that? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. It doesn't. And that's why when he goes out there and he says what he says about Stephen A, why didn't you do this for Skip? You let Skip escape all these years and never unloaded a clip on Skip. Skip didn't have great things to say about Bronny. Now, he didn't go as hard as Stephen A did, but Skip wasn't Team Bronny. Bron didn't press Skip Bayless. Now you can tell me, well, you don't want to empower Skip Bayless. You don't want to. He's dead. He's out the game. He's washed. Word. But if you're really on that type of time, if you're really 10 toes down on the ain't nobody going to disrespect my son or bring my son into something that's really between me and you, that's literally what Skip Bayless was doing. No smoke for that man. No McAfee pipe bombs for that man. But it is what it is. Stephen A. did his CM Punk pipe bomb on First Take today, responding to LeBron's pipe bomb from McAfee yesterday. And all of it is made up and all of it is contrived, and no one should be taking any of this seriously. The only thing to take serious out of any of this is the next time this happens, are we going to engage with it? Because as long as we keep engaging with it, as long as we keep sending it to group chats, as long as we keep retweeting it and giving it the clicks and the views that it wants and running the numbers up, it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. The only thing I would support and watch would be is if they actually did a sit down. If they actually did a sit down and LeBron and Stephen A were right there, one-on-one, live stream it too, no edits. Live stream it, no edits. I would watch that. I would consume that content. Only if it's live. If it's a recorded sit down, like how they did that Kobe and Shaq interview on TNT, or what was that, NBA TV? I forget which one it was. But that Kobe and Shaq sit down, I don't want no, that shit was edited, recorded, they took breaks and shit. No. Or, if you're not gonna do it live and do it that way, a lot of people, a lot of documentarians are copying what they did on The Last Dance, where they give somebody the iPad of someone talking shit about them and have them respond right there live and direct. You go to Fraud A, you go to Stephen A, and have LeBron record and just do a live whatever in terms of a live monologue of what he really feels about Stephen A. Take that recording, put it on the iPad or whatever tablet, put that tablet in front of Stephen A, press play, and then have a camera locked in on him and press record on that camera and let the magic happen. Like, I want that MJ Zeke moment with Bron and Stephen A. If it's not going to be a live sit down, face to face, whatever, I want it Last Dance tablet reaction style. Don't record it and then edit out the juicy stuff or edit out the bad words or the slanderous stuff. Don't do it that way. Live stream it. Live and direct. Broadcast it live. One-on-one. A sit down. And if it's not that, last dance it for me. Last dance it. Because they're copy and pasting it. That's now going to be a thing. I've seen it on multiple documentaries after Last Dance. Of, hey, diction in real time. Like that's now a move. That's now a filmmaking style. I'm here for it. Sports media as a whole is wrestling. This latest example, LeBron going back and forth, pressing him in person, basically telling him to keep my son's name out your mouth. And then, like Bron said, Stephen A going on the Taylor Swift worldwide tour, running around all these different outlets, chopping it up, talking about this incident with whoever, wherever, on any platform imaginable. This is where the game is. You have LeBron being able to use his influence, use his power, use his fan base to be able to craft a narrative that only makes him look good and makes everyone else look bad. It's no different than an old school Ric Flair promo. I'm the best, the Four Horsemen are the best, and the rest of y'all ain't shit, and we'll take your woman. It's the same type of promo. Everything is a promo. All these videos, all these clips are meant to be like a Ric Flair promo. That's all this stuff is. That's all this stuff is. And at some point, us as a viewing public, us as a viewing audience, we have to take the power in our hands and be like, I'm not going to consume that. I'm not tuning in because I know all he's going to do is clap back. Like, I haven't watched that show in years. I haven't watched First Take in years because I don't need to watch it, because anything that I need to see will end up on the timeline. I don't need to sit and watch 2-3 hours live. Why? Why would I do that? Whatever I need to know will be chopped up by the social media team and be pushed. And then because I'm in the algorithm of sports and sports media, it'll get shown to me 55 million different ways over the course of 24 hours. So it's very rare that I miss a clip from a show. I don't have to watch the show. The social media teams are going to aggregate, and then the algorithms are going to push whatever needs to be pushed. You know, Drake is over here suing UMG for them pushing a button on Kendrick. There's a lot of buttons that get pushed on these clips every day. There's a lot of buttons that get pushed on these clips and these viral moments, and win in the game by being an anomaly. Most people who succeed are following some kind of requisite formula. But anyway, as I wrap up here, appreciate those that have been able to stick through. I speak on sports media stuff a lot. I try to give an insider perspective as I'm literally driving to headquarters right now. But I appreciate those who are able to pull up, leave a comment. I'll leave this up. I just wanted to get my thoughts out because I was hoping to be able to do a podcast on this, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. It's a very busy week for me at work, and with all these back and forths going on, it's going to be even busier here at work. So I wanted to get my thoughts out there and make sure that I'm not silent in a time like this where there's a lot of people that are making assumptions and just making stuff up, assuming they know how sports and sports media work and how those two worlds are connected. And I can literally tell you from 16 plus years of experience working in it, that 85 to 90% of what people on the internet, former players or whoever think and say is just ridiculous and it's not true. So I'm trying to establish this page to be a landing spot for those who really want to know what's going on in the sports media industry. So if you like that type of stuff, if you like getting some insider perspective of how things actually work, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and tap in. And I'll probably be back. I don't know, I'll be back later on today, but maybe even tomorrow, because I'm sure there'll be even more fallout from this LeBron, Stephen A thing. So sports media is wrestling. LeBron and Stephen A, this is all contrived. It's never going to amount to anything. There's never going to be a confrontation. There's never going to be any actual hands thrown or anything like that. It's just shit for clicks and engagement farming. I go by the name of The Sam D. I appreciate you tapping in. If you like this type of content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, all that type of good stuff. Turn the bell on for notifications, and I'll holler at you real soon.